I get the cheat code, I'm a beast. They said they'll never let me out of lease. Stop out the cap, I'm just tryna see. You really back what you talk on the beat. They put me in, I'ma walk on the beat. I eat my plate and it make me obese. I been pushing lyrics like a Kingpin. And when today we got no
What's up, guys?
Hello, baby.
Did you guys get a mug?
Have you got a cup yet?
Get another one.
Wait, Hustle Grind. I like your shirt.
Man, listen, shout out to the independent artist, man. I think this is the Dirty South Calabasas exclusive here.
I love it.
Hustle Grind, man. You know, you get up in the morning and you got to get to it.
One time for Voodoo Man.
Yeah, one time for Voodoo Man. Yeah, the VIP merch.
Yeah.
I love it. I like the color scheme too, the black and pink.
I do too.
I like it with the sweater. Was that
it works.
intentional? Did you put that together like
I
that?
put it together in the closet.
Nah, you did
You're
good,
always
bro.
very spody.
Yeah. Shout out to
You always
Tanisha.
look good.
No. Time
That
out
was funny.
Shout out to Tanisha.
for
My dog, hey, you be styling my bro. I know
One
he got a
time-
little
one-
drip to it because he's from Florida, but I know you be styling my bro.
one time for the Christian Dior frames. Jesus
Yeah.
Christ.
Yeah, those are very
Yeah.
like Ocean's 11-ish.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
got 'em in
Wendy looks
Vegas.
like she should be running Vegas. That's
I
exactly
bought
where.
them on Christmas Day because
Yeah.
you can shop in Vegas on
Yeah,
Christmas Day.
that looks very Vegas.
Can we
shit.
please have a
My
YouTube
Mecca.
video of you going through
Your glasses.
frames?
Yeah.
But only if
gonna
we
go.
get one of you going through your shoes.
Okay, I'll do that.
I think you guys should do that together. Maybe she should come
That's
to
cool.
you and she should go through the shoes and pick out the ones that she likes and you give her the story and vice versa.
I actually have 366.
Pairs of shoes.
Yes.
Nice.
It's
I did
counted
too.
yesterday.
You did?
You have
Yeah.
300 and something too? Oh, wow.
Nice.
Yeah, we got to figure that out.
Yeah, that'd be a cool episode.
Yeah.
Maybe when we
Okay.
get to 10,000.
I turned a bedroom into a closet.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely 10,000.
Part of my man cave is my sneaker room.
Do you have a Christmas tree in your man cave?
I do not.
Okay, cool.
But I'm going to
Tanisha,
add one.
Put
Do
that
you
on the
want
list. Fourth.
I
Four
want
trees next year.
I want a red one.
We know how much he loves Christmas, so fourth tree,
Oh,
a
right.
red
Oh, here
one.
y'all go,
That's
here
why
y'all
you
go.
said
Red
that.
one.
Okay.
So are you going to get the little baby Jordan shoes to hang
Yeah.
off the tree like ornaments?
It's going to be a sneakerhead tree.
I love it. I think that'll be dope.
It's going to stay up all year though.
Do you have one of those like the sneaker clocks that has like the Jordan 1 is the 1
Nah,
or the 2?
I think it's a little
that's pretty
extra.
cool.
That's
Those are pretty
clever.
cool.
That's
My
clever.
birthday's coming up, so you guys can get me one.
Yeah, we
You
could
have
put
the
together
sneaker
something.
pimp book.
If I did
I
get you
do.
something for
Yes.
Christmas,
When I get my
and any
I'm
sneaker
gonna do
guys
a
out
coffee
there,
table.
get him those
I'm gonna put all-
Biggie
I'm
small
gonna-
Jordans.
Yes.
We want those for Rari.
Yes.
Okay,
Rari
you
or
guys,
Wendy.
You guys ready? I want to talk about something today. So I was talking to my good friend Antonio.
Which
Did we
one?
call,
Brown?
Did we call you
which-
Antonio? Did I call you Antonio?
Okay.
Thank you for the donuts.
And we was just talking about fake jewelry and
Costume jewelry.
costume jewelry, but sometimes artists will wear fake jewelry, but it's like big and gaudy and unattractive. And not only that, it also put me on a tangent with when people fake it till you make it.
Right?
Mm.
And that really makes my
Skin
skin
crawl.
Really grinds my
It
gears.
really
Yeah,
bothers
me
me.
too.
That really scuffs
Me
my
too.
Timbs.
I wanted to ask you guys, does that
Face
bother
it.
you when you're seeing artists fake it till they make it? Because I'd rather an artist not fake it.
Yes,
I'd rather you
same.
be on some clean shit. You
Same.
look dope. You look cool.
Same.
I don't want to see
Yeah,
a big fake Cuban link because my little small Cuban link is
But
very
what does that
expensive.
symbol? Like if we can, the symbolism of it, if we can get past the symbolism of it, I think we can get to the root of
Yeah,
it.
I don't want
It's
to. I want to
it's
remove.
the whole
remove it.
reason people buy fake followers and fake views. It's you want to feel like you've already made it without putting in the work, and that's really what grinds my gears.
Hmm.
We're gonna burn out every metaphor we can with this.
Yeah, it scuffs my Timbs. That's my favorite.
I like
pair
that
of
too.
songs. Yeah,
Does
that's
it
nice.
bother you, Kingpin?
Of course it does. I mean, at the end
Should
of the
artists
day,
do it?
no, I don't think as an artist, I think if you're going out and you're buying the jewelry because you think there's no such thing as a rap starter kit. So there inherently is a problem.
One
If
would
you're-
think that there is.
if
though.
you're going out and you're buying jewelry or you're going to go get gold teeth then you're
The Gucci belt.
stereotyping people. You're
Gucci belt.
saying that this is the costume that these people wear. And the people that are successful artists, they're not acting. They're themselves, and they found a way to get people to buy into what they are. If they're weird and left field, and people love weird and left field, but they're being themselves. They're not trying to be something else and by default having to dress it up. They're themselves effortlessly, and I think people buy into that. So when you're buying the diamonds, it's so that you think, I don't know if you think that people think that you're successful when they see you walk in with diamonds. We talked about that on one of
We
the
did.
episodes. When somebody walks in with a bunch of jewelry on, what's the first thing that you ask them?
Are you
Are
a
you a
rapper?
rapper? Because that's what we perceive. It's that connotation. But then when you look at some of the more successful rappers, do you see them wearing jewelry?
Not really.
If you see, little Uzi Vert, he may have a little chain on the stick, but that thing is probably the most highest rated VVS diamonds that you can get.
Yeah.
So, for one thing is I think maybe they're doing it to call attention to themselves, or maybe they feel like, it is the sequence outfit of the 70s buying a fake diamond chain and fake Fear of God clothing or fake, off-white clothes, is that the equivalent of putting on a sequence outfit that somebody's sewn for you with platform boots? And like, I don't know, bro. Were people wearing fake Calvin Klein, or were people wearing fake? Was that a thing when the culture first started, per
Yes.
se? Fake
Yes.
Izod and fake polo and stuff like
Yes.
that, yeah.
Yeah.
And people were still buying into it. So I guess, I don't know, bro.
Yes.
Maybe it's
It was
something that
fake
is
troop
inherent.
jackets back then.
Maybe it's something deeper than just rap music, bro. Maybe it's something with our culture, with our society.
Have you ever told an artist or a musician to take
Yes.
that off?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sure have.
Listen, bro, I've known artists that have bought jewelry at the gas station and will go to the beauty supply and buy clear nail polish and get it right. It's a one-hitter quitter. They're going to wear that watch and that chain into the club, and the minute some water hit it or they clap their hands too hard, it's going to fly off. And that's where it ended at. A lot of these people are investing because when they're going out to the club, they're trying to convince somebody. If they're going to the club to bag broads and they're gigolos, then they're putting all that on because they feel that there are women that are attracted to that.
Clear nail polish.
That's what they're doing. They're not going to the club to put that on to impress other dudes. They want to stand with other dudes and impress chicks. Chicks are the only people in the world that can wear costume jewelry and get away with it. That's it. Your grandmother wore costume jewelry on Sundays. She had the big gaudy pendant, the big gaudy hat, the big
clip
stupid earrings. Your grandmother wore costume jewelry. I think 2 Chainz was taking belts and made them Versace chains. Versace didn't make jewelry like that. Those were belts that he went and bought from the secondhand store in Beverly Hills and then threw them around his necklace. And, oh my God, I want a Versace chain now. And then everybody was going to get these big ass Medusa heads. Fool, Gianni didn't make that. Donatella ain't authorized that, bro. That's a belt that you wearing around your country ass. So again, it takes one person to make it look good, and then it takes somebody else that figures out, well, fuck it. I don't have to make $1 million a year to wear Versace all the time. I'll go to the flea market. Didn't they just swarm the flea market here in Atlanta and hit them people for like $10 million worth of counterfeit goods? What the fuck $10 million worth of counterfeit goods was doing on the south side of Atlanta? I don't know.
Selling.
But
Selling.
Selling.
I mean,
Don't you guys, okay, is it a problem or is it something that's just, okay, well.
I know professional athletes that buy bootleg clothes and bootleg jewelry and would wear it proudly. One of my first experiences here in Atlanta, I met 3 football players and we went to the flea market. And they went in the back and bought the Gucci this and Prada knockoff out of a bag in plastic. All right, if you see a millionaire wearing off-whites, are you going to question them?
Not necessarily, no.
But if you see a 13-year-old wearing some off-whites, you're going to be like, you ain't got no money to get those. What them is? Oh yeah, those are phony. I don't know, bro. It's a great debate.
My eye's pretty good if I see some fake
I say don't do
sneakers.
it.
But yeah,
I say don't do it. I say don't do it. I say if you're trying to impress people, it's never what you wear, but how you wear it. So, you can talk to any fashion icon or any mogul, if you will. And most of these people that are trendsetters, they don't do it in designer clothes. They do it in their clothes. They set a trend in something they designed, they sewed, they draw it up, or they came up with, and then they partnered with somebody else. So, the fact that you feel you can only look good in Dior, that has to do with, you. There's an insecurity within
jeans.
yourself.
Absolutely.
Amiri jeans, there's an insecurity there that needs to be addressed, because if you really got down to it and you started to talk to your fans and you asked them what they like about you, I guarantee none of them are going to tell you it's your sense of fashion, your fashionability. That's not what's going to resonate with your day one fans, unless you're a chic type of dude, unless you are a Cameron or a Jim Jones or somebody that's at the front of fashion, a Kanye West, or somebody that can wear a t-shirt and influence the culture, a la Jim Buttons with Amiri. So we talk about Joe Buttons, talk about Amiri. Maybe you are one of those
Cameron
people
with this pink fur.
right, that can throw that on and then spur a whole movement, where
And
Drake
shout
just
out
came
to
out
Drake
of it.
wearing that at
Right.
the Apollo. That was super fly.
fire.
So,
That
but
was
again,
super fly.
so if somebody is wearing a pink fur coat, does it have to be a name brand? Or is it okay if somebody goes and gets a pink fur coat and tries to do a fake, a Fox, F-A-U-X fur coat? Would that have been acceptable? Would we have known? I don't know, bro. I guess don't do it. You're the only person that knows if it's fake. So if you are in the house and you are dancing around while you're getting dressed and you laying out them fake clothes on the bed and you're like, ooh, bitch, I'm gonna kill him. You dead ass wrong. If you in the mirror and you fixing the jewelry and you're like, hold on, I gotta wear a turtleneck because every time I sweat, my neck turns green. You dead ass wrong. Dead wrong. Dead wrong.
I just
If you
think
you're
that
doing it.
everybody should be themselves. And I don't think that you should feel like you have to go broke to impress other people. I think that you get to a point in life, and it took me a long fucking time to make money, to be able to spend money on cool shit. But I did it after I invested in real estate. I did it after I learned how to flip money. I didn't go broke to buy $600 frames,
Right.
you know? And there's a lot of creativity in just being you and standing out as to who you are. And if you can't do that, then I think you need to take a longer look inside
Yeah,
at who
amen.
you are and what's causing that.
Yeah.
And fix that instead of your image.
Yeah.
Because if you're thinking that the clothes that you have on or the jewelry that you have on is going to equate into reaching more people or establishing more of an ownership stake in your claim to whatever it is, you're mistaken. Now, as a matter of fact, dare I say, the last thing I expect somebody to come sit down with me as an independent artist is to be full of diamonds. I'm gonna feel offended.
Me too.
Yeah,
If
me
you
too.
come to me and you
Me
tell
too.
me that you
Me
got
too.
on $100,000 worth of diamonds and you done pissed away $80,000 and I'm giving you a proposal and you're like, no, that's too much. I'm gonna feel offended, bro.
Agreed.
Because I think you put
Super agree.
I think it's less about celebrating what you've accomplished and more about flaunting where it is that you want to be in your mind. So if Drake just went and bought all of Pharrell's old jewelry,
Yes.
spent $1.2 million or some goofy ass shit on it, right? That's because Drake then capped out. He could buy whatever he wants to buy.
Buy
He
whatever
got to
you
the
want.
limit.
But he did it for the historical aspect. He
He-
didn't go
as a
and
historian,
recreate
Right. He went and got
he went and got the
the original pieces, and these are
Yes.
mine here.
Yes.
He could have easily went and got some Swarovski crystals or some lab diamonds and had somebody press one up, or it could have been done a million different ways, but he didn't.
I wish I wore my fake diamonds
So,
today. Damn.
shout out to him for that. But at the end of the day, man, I will say this. Be yourself, man. Everybody else is already taken.
Okay. Dear Wendy, who was someone you looked up to growing up? I absolutely love this podcast, but as a young Caucasian woman in her 20s, I identify more with the urban culture than I do my own.
My hero growing up was David Ogilvy, who was an advertising guy. And it's funny because I get to meet like really famous artists. And to me, it's like you guys, right?
Mhm.
I went to meet David Ogilvy and I choked. I couldn't speak to him. I was in college.
Wow.
And he was signing books. He's one of the
Volkswagen bug.
godfathers of advertising. And growing up, I always wanted to be an advertising exec. I always loved marketing. I always loved the whole concept. When I was like 15, 14, 13 years old, I just knew I was going to move to New York, work for an ad agency, live in a glass penthouse in the city in Manhattan. And when I met him, I went to speak to him and went, I was in a cold sweat. I was shaking and I choked. And I just told him, I look up to you so much. And he's like, come see me. I can't wait for the day when you get to come work for me. He was being really, really, really pleasant. And I'm sure he sat there thinking, wow, she's really choking. She can't work in this industry. She's going to crack under pressure.
Yeah, he's one of the greatest minds.
But that's
he
who
made
I
the
looked
book.
up to. And then in my 20s,
Ogilvy.
I really, and still do look up to Malcolm X. That's probably, if I had to pick like one hero, that's probably who I'd choose. I wish he had gotten to live longer so that we could see the full cycle
Mhm.
of what he was becoming when his life was cut short. But I loved his mindset. I loved how he spoke, his, what he believed in. And he did it at a time where he was like against the grain. He was not turn the other cheek. He was eye for an eye, and I love that. As a young Caucasian woman coming
Cry.
up in the industry,
Mhm.
yeah, I probably was that. Yeah, still am. Yeah.
Who's someone you looked up to, Kingpin? A
Uh,
young Kingpin.
I don't know, bro. I mean, Ogilvy, of course, but I don't want to say I looked up to him. I've studied, and because he's the god of marketing.
Very creative.
Probably, if I had to name, I'd probably say either maybe Wayne Huizenga. I read his story when I was in one of my juvenile programs or something, and what he was able to do with waste management, and then turned it into Blockbuster and Pizza Hut and Kentucky Fried Chicken and Pepsi and all of those things, and to know that he did that with a garbage truck. But then again, I could say the same thing about your boy Bill Gates. I read one of his stories where he landed on the building and bought the building. So it's like, was there one individual that I looked up to? I don't know. I probably hated my father, so I wanted to do everything I could to prove him wrong. But now as an adult, I understand how crazy that was, and I'm so thankful to everything that he did for me. So maybe I may have not have known it at the time, but I want to say my dad, because I was always trying to beat or surpass whatever it is that, if he would get mad that I would do this, I would purposely not do that and then do this so that he would be happy. I always tried to be one step ahead of him and tried to get that praise and tried to get that. And because I seen him do that. I was telling my wife this the other day. I grew up different. My father never worked for anybody. My father always had employees. So I was never a follower. I was never raised around followers. I was raised around leaders. I was raised to be a leader. I was raised to be an alpha. So I take that to me into the world. So when I walk into a room or I walk into a building, hey everybody, how's everybody doing? I'm upfront like that. I'm aggressive like that. And that's because of my father. So if I had to say one person, as much as I would have hated to admit it, because my father was a gigantic piece of shit for a good portion of his life. He was an alcoholic and a womanizer and abuser. But all of those things I understand now that I'm an adult, why he was that way, how he was able to restrain himself from being worse, what he could have did. And I try to insert that into my life. And hopefully my kids, my son will look up to me. Right? So I don't know, as corny as it may sound, bro, probably my dad.
And your daughters.
Yeah. Definitely my daughters. I definitely want them to want more. But if I had to look up, say I looked up to somebody, probably my dad, bro. Because he just did so much with so little. Didn't speak no English. Short guy, you know what I mean? Had everything going against him, and it still was able to accomplish what he's accomplished, which may not be a lot to some people, but it's instilled the drive that I have in me. So for that, I'm thankful forever.
You just said something really interesting that I just applied to myself, that you were raised to be alpha. I'm very alpha, and I was raised to be subservient. Imagine if I had been raised to be alpha.
Yeah, you would have been.
I would have burned the world down by now.
You would have burned it down, absolutely.
Jesus.
Because there are some people that you grow up and everybody around you is passive.
Right.
They wake up and they have jobs. They don't have careers. They go through the motions and
That's how I was
everybody
raised.
do what they do. And I don't want that for me. Nobody in my family wanted that for me. Nobody wanted it for themselves.
Right.
They were all independent hustlers and go-getters and wanted to have it and go get it. So not to say that anybody that grows up around that, but that's the energy that was instilled around me. And I didn't realize it till after I got older. Like I would go out and I would come home at 6 o'clock in the morning and I'd still wake up and go to work. I think about it now and it's like, that's my father. No matter what happens, I get up, and now these are the things that I stand on, and I try to educate our listeners and my kids as well. It's like, hey man, if you're going to do this, if you're going to go out and you're going to play, then you have to deal with it. Like all the shit that I tried to negate or brush under the rug, that was the facts of life. I heard somebody say this last night. I became a man when I turned 38 fucking years old, and I felt that because I became a man when I turned 38 years old.
Wow.
For me, earlier on, of course, it would be my parents, my grandma, but I always never wanted to work. My parents kind of, they're from the island, so it was just get a job, get health benefits. So I didn't. I was told to just get a job. So, but I didn't want to work that job. I always used to listen to the radio and the Big Lip Bandit. And I used to be like, man, I want to do that.
Shout out to the Big Lip Bandit.
I never knew anybody who did it. So when I went to college, I was running track at USF in Tampa. I heard this DJ named DJ Eakin. And he would do parties.
Shout out to Eakin.
He would do parties on campus, and I would hang with him. And then he let me talk on the mic. I used to just talk shit. I usually literally would talk shit. And I would just talk on the mic. He was the first person that I saw that I was like, hey, I can do that.
Right.
Like he was DJing. He was on the radio on the weekend, and he was doing parties. And I would just like hang with him. Then when I would come to Atlanta every summer, I heard Greg Street on the radio.
The OG.
And then when I moved up here, I saw Kenny Burns. And then, of course, if I can kind of go back a little bit, I would go to music conferences. I would see you, and I would see you. But I was a fly on the wall seeing Kingpin walk around
You were an artist, motherfucker.
Yeah. But
he was.
You would hold up signs. You were really a badass promoter. Like you was,
Still is.
You was the first person I saw promoting.
Right.
Yes.
I never saw what you did before.
He cannot stand still.
You guys were like the first people that I was like, yo, I can do this type of thing. So what happened, it made me move to Atlanta because I saw people that looked like me doing things that I want to do.
Right.
DJ Eakin was the first person I saw doing it, but I didn't get hired.
How old were you when you moved here?
25.
Okay. Did you know anybody here or did you just get up and move?
Biddy Barnes. I moved up here and Mr. Biddy Barnes had me running around. I was literally I was helping out. I was doing legwork for Ray Daniels and Biddy Barnes for Verse Simmons. He signed Rock City and Verse Simmons to Interscope.
Before that though, what were you doing before that?
I was rapping.
You just wanted to say
I was
that.
rapping.
You just wanted to say
I was rapping.
I remember when I first seen Rari in Atlanta, I was in Opera in the DJ booth outside with Teflon. And I look up and I see Rari coming up and I'm like, what's up? He's like, I'm at work, bro. What's up? And I'm like, at work? The fuck?
Because I switched over.
I'm at work.
And then the next time I see him, I go down to, and they closed it down now. It was that Apache, across the street from Apache.
Yeah.
There's the teen party and there's like 700 kids in there. And I walk in on stage and who's hosting?
Me.
Ferrari Simmons. What the fuck? How did this happen?
I had a whole name change too. So I went by my real name, Sean Simpson. And I just felt like it wasn't working how I wanted it to, just on some music shit. And I felt like, okay, let me make an educational pivot. And I did something which I'll share with you guys because it makes me a little emotional. My daughter was 1 year old. She lived in Orlando, and I decided to move to Atlanta. Kind of fucked up everything. Yeah, I felt terrible. Damn, I'm trying to get emotional, but. You know what I'm saying? Like, that shit fucked me up.
Yeah, it was your first daughter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
And you did it let me ask you a question. When you did it, do you have a stronger relationship with her now? Does she understand it? Do you have a bad relationship?
She understands now.
Now.
But like, that shit
and
fucked me
this
up.
is the teenager, right? This is like 16, 17?
She's 14.
14.
Yeah.
I seen somebody last night say that I would rather face every criminal in the world than my daughter at 15. I heard a man say that last night. So I can feel that pain.
So like, and I ain't trying to get too emotional, but like, I had to make a decision because like, that shit fucked me up.
Yeah.
But I kept saying, I don't want to just be a regular person. So if I stay in Florida, that shit was going to be like, that shit would have hurt me more.
Of course.
Thinking like, damn, what if I didn't, you know what I'm saying,
Then you'd have been that parent that had been mad.
I'd have been mad every day.
I gave away everything for you and this is what you do. Oh my God.
So moving up here, she sees it, and I just did some real nigga shit, and I told her the truth. So I told her like, this is why I moved up here.
Yeah,
to do shit like this. So she's good. So we have a good relationship.
She's gonna understand.
It was really fucked up in the beginning. That kind of messed up my mental.
So you mean to tell me that on your first child, you didn't know how to be a parent, and you were doing what you thought how to be a parent was everything about, and now you don't regret that decision? I tried selling weed.
That shit ain't work.
Hey, man.
I tried everything.
And guess what, bro?
I tried everything, bro.
That's what the cheat code is, right?
Yeah,
it's hey, man, if you're thinking about making this decision and you haven't done it because you feel that it may not be the right one, there's nobody that could tell you right or wrong. Do what your heart tells you to do.
Go.
That shit.